brothers and sisters. So I got more things to say about Tucker Carlson and Don Lemons. Pretty funny stuff, most of it. My wife had sent me something this morning on Twitter that the real reason that Tucker Carlson was fired was because he went after Big Pharma and Pfizer. Tucker Carlson, if you really want to understand how powerful Big Pharma is, consider this. Tucker reacts to Pfizer's alleged manipulation. And again, it's a show. Like, whatever, it's hard to say what's real and what's not. And life on Earth itself is an illusion. I have the official reason what the media is saying he was fired for. But this is the unofficial reason. And it comes on the heels of, I got another strike, not another strike, but a community guidelines video that violated their community guidelines on my other channel. They didn't give me a strike because I'm already in a strike period, which I don't even know what that means, because if I got another strike, they would have taken away that channel, and that would have sucked. I'd have to redo the whole thing. But what this is about, and this was for medical misinformation. So what happened was, and I want to point this out, because people always say, well, they're targeting truthers, or, their algorithms are certainly targeting truthers to whatever extent. They are pushing people away from your content, and a lot of the policies are going to hurt truthers more than other people, especially medical misinformation to do with the you-know-what, right? Because the you-know-what, who's going to talk about it more than truthers? So, but they could have taken my channel with this strike. They said they chose to not to give me another strike because it would have meant the end of my channel, right? It would have meant termination of that channel, which sucks for me and would have been, really negative, on a lot of levels. And so if they were targeting me, they could have just taken my channel. But all my videos were private, so that's another messed up thing, right? So I went and I privatized all my videos, and yet they're still being scrutinized by these bots in the private form, and that's messed up. It's happened to me before where I've privatized videos, and then they've given me a strike on a privatized video, which is messed up. The reason I privatized all of them is because of getting a third strike. And so I've done that before on this channel. When I got a second strike, I immediately privatized everything. That's why my videos have remained private, because I don't know what has what in it. And for a short period of time after you privatize your video, if they are already looking at a video, they might give it a strike. So they're obviously combing through all these videos and scrutinizing them for this medical misinformation that has to do with the you-know-what, right? The big V. Because, for a while you couldn't talk about it at all. And then, COVID turned out to be, not what they said it was. And, the whole narrative collapsed. And then YouTube allowed people to start talking about COVID, and particularly the you-know-what. And I started talking about it, right? This is what sucks about YouTube. One of the horrible things about it is that I obeyed the community guidelines, and then they started to loosen those things up. And people were able to talk about something. And so, I did. And then I have all these videos, and I don't know in which videos on that channel I talk about it. And so I can't unprivatize those videos. All my Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies because they're now scrutinizing this, the you-know-what, because Big Pharma, probably mostly Pfizer, has come down on them. And so I can't, and now I have to figure out how to negotiate all these things. And that's what sucks about YouTube. It's like being in a relationship with a crazy person that constantly changes the rules, and the rules don't make any sense. And, it's just, that's what sucks about the mainstream, social media platforms. They're the biggest platforms, but they're like some psycho boop, right? Like, it's like being in a relationship with a psycho boop who just is, and I already did that, I already lived through that. So, changing the rules retroactively, punishing you for things that weren't against the rule when you did it, And then, going back and forth and deciding when you're going to enforce things and how strict you're going to be about it, and then changing it. Don't make an announcement and say, look, and if they just said, all right, we want to remove the content, but not give you a strike for something that you did, that you said or presented a while back. Like if it was 2 months ago. I mean, this latest strike was whenever Woody Harrelson said a bunch of things on Saturday Night Live about the you-know-what, right? So that was 2 months ago, February 25th. I covered it probably February 26th or 27th. And so basically 2 months ago, I made a video, and YouTube's, and then have privatized it since, and YouTube's algorithms and whatever they're doing there flag the video. And so, it just sucks, right? It just absolutely sucks, because what harm is my video going to do? It's just big pharma, I mean, they pay a lot of the bills, right? And these platforms. And so there's that. And like I said, they made these medical misinformation policies based in that the information was going to cause people not to get something that was going to be good for them and may save their life, right? That was the idea behind it. A lot of these policies, that people are going to recommend things that were outside the allopathic medical model and the pharmaceutical medical model, and they wanted to say only this point of view, allopathic medicine and big pharma, is to be represented on YouTube and these social media platforms. And then, Elon Musk came in with Twitter, and things started to loosen up, and, the narrative fell apart, because we now know that that wasn't true, that there was, that what they were saying about the danger of this so-called misinformation wasn't really dangerous, right? It might have been actually the opposite. It might have saved, pain and suffering and even lives in some cases. But, they stopped enforcing it. Now they're enforcing them again. And like I said, they're targeting us without, personally targeting us, right? They could have taken my channel, and that's, whatever it is. Like I privatized the video. It's from 2 months ago. So they, it's bogus in what they did do, but it could have been worse, right? And so I'm going to make another backup channel, which I'll post a video on tomorrow or the next day, and I'll mention it here, and hopefully everyone can subscribe to that in case something happens here, in this 2-week period, and I still have a way to talk to people about whatever it is, right? So I want to get back to this. This is not the point of this video, so let me get back to the Tucker Carlson piece, and, the Don Lemon stuff and the other stuff. But I think tomorrow I'll be able to put together another channel, and then post it, and then put it in the, all of the things that I, do in terms of the menu and my videos and all those things. And then people can find me in the case that I have 2 community guideline strikes on both channels. Of course, you can always find me on my Facebook page, in terms of messaging me or whatever, and Instagram, and I can update people. So if you subscribe to those, Pockets of Future Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and then if something happens to me and I go somewhere else or whatever, I can let you know from those other platforms. So yeah, let's move forward with the rest of this stuff here. So I just want to add one more thing before we get to the big part of this video. YouTube betrayed its very nature, Google did, when it decided to say that it was going to promote authoritarian news, which was CNN and MSNBC and Fox to whatever extent, right? Those are the authoritarian news. And so if you watch my videos, oftentimes YouTube will recommend a Fox video afterwards, because they think, all right, this is, what my audience would be into. In terms of mainstream media, they're not going to recommend CNN or MSNBC, but, Fox or whatever. And so when YouTube said, okay, the people who are built our platform, individual creators and, whatever it is, built our platform, and it's YouTube, it's not ThemTube. I said that, and so many other people said it spontaneously, right? Like this is when they moved to being ThemTube. They're rolling out YouTube TV. And they said when people searched for content that was of a truther nature, they were going to recommend crappy CNN and MSNBC instead, right? Like clips on their, crappy, you know, whatever it was, YouTube channels. And they had their own platform that they were failing at. CNN and MSNBC and Fox couldn't compete, weren't getting nearly as many views. This is why Tucker Carlson went truther, why he's, became like a, news truther, like a, not a real truther, but like whatever he was, right? That's the reason he and so many of these other, personalities started to embrace these other narratives, right? And he had the most successful show because of it. MSNBC and CNN copied a lot of the content that was on these other channels, truther channels, and things like this, right? They stole the terms, they stole the way of the way of presenting information. They tried to do it in their own, like CNN Plus or whatever it was, but it failed because they suck. And YouTube's decided that they were going to switch the way that their algorithms worked. When you search something on either Google, the biggest search engine of the world, or YouTube, and you wanted something like what I present here, and they would recommend Fox News or CNN or whatever it was. They were telling you, no, you don't want this, you want this, right? They were limiting your responses, guiding your responses to something that you didn't want, that they were forcing on you. And so they changed the system. They started to, they picked winners and losers, and so many YouTube channels have suffered one way or another, either through lack of exposure or, guideline strikes or whatever it might be, demonetization and things of videos. And so they've made it hard for the people that are supporting and make up their truther videos were a big part of what grew YouTube in the first place, alternative media. And so they've like betrayed themselves, right? I mean, obviously they're big business, big corporations. They have to, deal with, their advertisers and all the things that I don't have to deal with. That's one of the things I like about being on YouTube, that they, put ads on my videos and I don't have to deal with any of that stuff, right? I'm able to get compensated without having to, deal with the business side of whatever's going on here, because I'm not a business person. It sucks the energy out of me, and I've talked about this before. But because of doing that, they, betrayed their basic idea that this was about individual people expressing themselves. And now it's become a censorship game. And the overwhelming lie that's at the basis of this is that you as an individual person with your limited influence can say things that are going to tear the country apart. That's going to destroy the country. When the country's destroying itself, right? Like that's why I have the apocalypse. It's destroying itself. And that by posting your opinions, somehow that's going to affect people to change in such a way and work towards just being destructive to the country. And they use the big event in January and these other excuses to validate their point of view. That fake news that, was being put out on the internet, like what they're calling our stuff fake news, was somehow a threat. It's one of the biggest or biggest threats to America. And these people who control the official narrative are saying it all the time, and they're panicked. But reality is that people aren't going to change. They're not going to rise up until their resources are taken away and their lifestyle is taken away. People have been completely pacified, and there is no change. We've seen it. We know it. People, even if your knowledge base changes and you wake up a little bit, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change anything. I mean, maybe, information getting back to God, the crumbling away of the system. But even when you know the system's a lie, it doesn't change anything because you're still going to participate in the system. Nobody's walking away from the system. Maybe no one's going, I'm going to go off grid. Like people are just still going to check the boxes. They're going to punch in to work. They're going to do what they have to do. They're just going to, their beliefs are changed, and maybe their, confidence in the system has changed. But overall, we're all stuck with the system. And so we're not destroying it. And it's ridiculous to think that little truth videos would do that, because there's no way to change the system on that level. And so it's pointless to censor us, right? But they're doing it anyway because they're paranoid and they're freaks and they're fear-based people that know they're going against God. And so they're trying to do everything to control the system from collapsing, and they can't do that, right? Nothing's going to prevent its collapse no matter what they try, no matter what plans they have. Nothing anybody can do can make this thing stop, right? It's, we're heading over the cliff and we've already fallen. Like we're over the cliff. We just haven't hit bottom yet. Like we're in free fall mode, and you might as well enjoy the ride because when we hit, it's going to suck, for everybody. But anyways, let's get into it with Tucker Carlson and Don Lemons. But anyways, here's the official story. It says here, producer suing Carlson for sex discrimination celebrates his departure. A lawsuit filed in Southern District of New York, Abby Grossberg, I'll show you her in a moment, accused Carlson and Fox of sexism and harassment, alleging his show's workplace was replete with examples of misogyny. Her lawsuit claims, among other things, they mocked up photogenic images depicted the then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in a bathing suit revealing her cleavage, and staffers were polled on two separate occasions on which of two female candidates for Michigan governor they would rather have sex with. Now, this is very mild stuff for these depraved these newsroom media centers who are filled with cynical, mean-spirited, nasty people, right? That you don't see when they're on when you don't see in their news shows, but it's there. The media has always been a place for, whatever it is, depravity. And these are mild, given what Fox News has done in the past and the kind of environment. And this is not, this isn't traced back to Carlson. Tucker Carlson's departure from Fox News is an admission of the systemic lying, bullying, and conspiracy mongering claimed by our client. That's what her lawyer said. Mr. Carlson and subordinates remain individual defendants in the SDNY's case and look forward to taking their deposition under oath in the near term. She also has some other, she's filed a couple of suits. So this is Abby Grossberg here. If your name is gross in it, it looks very, ghoulish here, right? Why would they hire somebody who is obviously liberal and, has a different, they're hiring these liberal producers with Fox, this is how Fox News is being compromised or whatever it is, right? And, all these, woke consciousness for a show like Tucker Carlson. Why would she be on that show? So the other part here is Abby Grossberg accused Tucker Carlson and other Fox News executives of managing a newsroom rife with hostility where anti-Semitism and gross misogyny ran rampant. And so, that's the kind of the official story that they're saying, was one of the major reasons why he's fired. It was really probably more about the big pharma. ADL hails Fox News for long sought ouster of Tucker Carlson, and Fox stock sinks after Tucker Carlson's departure. It went back up, and my wife said, "Well, it did go back up," and I said, "Yeah, but nothing happened with Don Lemons, right?" Not one thing happened with Don Lemons, right? Like when Don Lemons left CNN, it had no effect on their stock. No one's talking about it, right? And so I turned the news on yesterday, and I didn't hear anybody talk about Don Lemons. Like Tucker Carlson's firing was huge news, and Don Lemons, like they mentioned it, right? Like there's something to do. There's something on New York Post today, and one of the things that they're upset about him for CNN, because the New York Post is, crappy on Don Lemons a lot, but nobody else is really covering it. Don Lemons gave his whiny little, Twitter thing he did yesterday. But in reality, people don't care. The news media, it's not even like a news story. I mean, it might be a little bit more if Tucker Carlson did get fired, but it shows you the difference, in the gravitational pull of Don Lemons versus Tucker Carlson, and that's really funny. But the thing is, and I've been noticing this quite a bit lately, and that is when I turn on the news. Now, with Tucker Carlson and some, I don't really watch very much Fox News, but people send me clips of Tucker Carlson. And, he will say things that are truth or, that I would agree with, right? Whereas MSNBC and CNN barely ever says anything I agree with, right? Once in a while they report something, that's factual or that's, it's just, they have minimum spin on it. But for the most part, I don't agree with anything they say. And most of Fox, it's just goofy. But Tucker Carlson used to say truth or stuff. But then he would say something that was just stupid, right? Like, that was like completely not true or completely just a spin. And, or he'd give some sort of reason for something. Alex Jones does the same thing where he'll say things that you will agree with, but then he'll give some reason that clearly, isn't any chance of being real. Like it's just, bat boop crazy, right? It just doesn't make any sense. And so that's where the frustration comes because, they give you truthful information. They used to do this with Glenn Beck, but then they throw something in there. They blame Soros for everything or whatever it is, right? They just, pander to some right wing ideology and they never tell you, what I tell you here is that the system's going to collapse and there's nothing anybody can do about it. I mean, it's just, it should be obvious to you. The only reason that people can't accept it is because it's scary, right? I mean, it's scary for me. I don't feel scared, but I mean, if I thought about it, it's going to suck, right? At least on a material level. That when a system collapses, we're 100% dependent on that system. Some of us maybe less so than others, but our lifestyle is going to evaporate, right? And, we don't even know what that means. Like, it's something that it's unthinkable because everyone in America, Americans are going to suffer no matter what because you think you've been promised and entitled to the lifestyle you have because they have kind of promised it. I mean, that's what they do all the time. Politicians and everybody else is constantly promising you that this lifestyle, they'll say, hey, this lifestyle is under threat. We got to do something about it. But they're constantly promising you that they're going to uphold your lifestyle and your privileges, and they're not, right? I mean, they're taking away right now, and there's going to be more of it as time goes on, like more substantial. Like really, these things are just, not very noticeable to most people. And there'll be a period where it's like, reality is going to hit. It's going to be a slap in the face by reality that it's not sustainable to most people. And then people will choose, like lots of people just check out and die. Like they'll just give up. They'll be a state of shock. They're too divorced from their soul and reality. And, they're too, oblivious to what's going on. They won't be able to deal with it. People die from going into a state of shock. And a lot of people just go into a state of shock and they'll just exit the, planet. They're like, they can't do it. And there's going to be massive die-offs. And then people will, decide on some level or not whether they can survive this new, changes. And that's just what's going to be. And then all these petty little things won't matter. And very few people will tell you that because, it doesn't benefit them. They can't see it themselves or deal with it, right? But it's happening. Like, it's going to be whatever it is. Like, I can't say exactly how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but we know it's going to happen because it has happened so many times before and to, stronger civilizations that were sustainable, right? There's lots of civilizations. I mean, you're living on land that the Native American population was as sustainable as it could be, right? They were natural human beings living in a natural way that were in tune with nature, and they lived this way for thousands of years, and they were just overcome by an invading force, and now their, culture and their way of life has been destroyed. I mean, there's, maybe some, small pockets of people embracing the old ways. But this happened with colonialism all over the world. Aboriginal people in Africa and South America and Mexico, what's now Mexico, and all these various countries, Canada, and I mean even to some extent Europe, and then certainly places like Australia or wherever it is, right? There were Aboriginal people that had sustainable lifestyle, tribal lifestyles that they lived this way for thousands of years, and they're pretty much their lifestyle at least has been destroyed, and their population has been decimated, right? But then there's like the Greek civilization and the Chinese empires. I mean, empires in India and all these places, ancient empires that were dominant throughout regions of the world that are now gone. Civilizations, massive cities that are in ruins. You can see the ruins of civilizations that are underwater at the bottom of the ocean, right? There's all these civilizations that have collapsed before, and they're all the ones that we don't know about, right? And in all that, this is going to happen here at some point. Even if this was a great civilization, it would happen. It just happens. Civilizations collapse, time periods, yugas end, things change. It just happens. And we're obviously in that phase. Like you can just see it because there's been moral collapse and human beings are so weak and are getting weaker and just unnatural. It's unsustainable life, and the people who run the system know it, and everyone else senses it and doesn't want to deal with it. And I'm saying this, and it's happened to me very recently. When I tune into the news, when I turn the news channels on, and it's usually CNN or MSNBC, and I look at these people, like just not the anchors, the Michelle Wallaces and the whatever, I mean the Don Lemons or any of these people, the Morning Joe crew or any Wolf Blitzer or any of these people, right? When I look at these people, but not just them, the people that come on who are experts, and these people are, smart people oftentimes. They are people with high IQs who work in, universities or, they're experts in some field or another. They worked in the intelligence community, and they come on and they just lie. And, some of them believe in the lies, some of them don't, who's to say? But they say all this goofy stuff, and it's so remedial. It's like watching children talk about something like, complex, like they're talking about world events, like they're 6-year-old kids who don't have the ability to see, past the mainstream official story. And they're all serious. And they think they're so profound, and they're like, they're just getting it done. And nobody's watching. It's just like old people who watch the news. They don't have any ratings anymore. CNN's ratings suck, MSNBC, even Fox, right? They have a dying audience. Everyone else is moved on because they can't compete with, truth or with any kind of alternative media because it's on so much of a higher level. I mean, the good stuff. There's a lot of dumb stuff out there, right? And there are a lot of dumb people, just, people who don't have the capacity for abstract thought. They can't get it. They're just not there, right? And so, they just don't have the capacity. But, that's no way to build your audience. And even those people are bored by the news, right? Like they don't watch the news. And so they have a dying audience and, people who grew up on the news and they're irrelevant. And they just sit there talking about this stuff. And they're so remedial. And, especially CNN and MSNBC always bring it back to Trump and, blaming Trump or whatever it is. And I was watching, I've been watching it going like, how does it feel to suck that bad? Like just to get out there every day and just suck. I mean, Don Lemon was like one of the, worst at it. Just come to work and just suck and, tell, just everything's a lie and keep up this illusion and pretend, or even if you don't pretend, you're, that's even worse. You're delusional and you believe in this crap that you're selling, right? Even with Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson still worked at Fox and, he said things that were just wrong and BS and, part of the destructive narrative, and there's groups they won't go, whatever it might be, right? There's things that they won't say or they can't say or they, whatever it is. They still have their handlers and, all of it. And so, just going out there every day and just perpetrating this fraud, like all these people like Fucci and all the rest of them, right? I mean, just going out there and, just absolutely smelling up the joint. Like, how does it feel to look in the mirror? Like when they look in the mirror, like, I do the meditation, right? So you have to, when you meditate, you have to, look inside yourself, and the truth is there, right? And your ego doesn't want you to see the truth, but people take medication. They can't sleep at night. They take medications. All these people control the system. I mean, they lie awake in bed. They all have insomnia. They're all, especially now as the vibrations are changing, and people are, the truth is being pulled out, right? They can't hide the truth anymore because of what's going on spiritually. And they just, and they know it themselves. They're being warned, God tells you, that your soul is telling you, stop being a douche, right? Your soul is like, your soul's telling you to get right, to get right with it, with your true purpose here, especially as you get closer to death. And lots of people are really close to death, I mean, I may be one of them. We don't know, right? Who's to say when there's going to be massive die-offs, and there's, when things are unraveling, and that's a time where you start to, there's a chance that you might be hear things you normally wouldn't be able to hear, right? Like, so when things unravel in your personal life, there's an opening for change, and you can see this in therapy or whatever it might be. People will come in and just be desperate, right? They lost a loved one, or they're about to get divorced, or they've just been fired, and there's a sense of they're out of their routine, and they're shook, and they're like looking for the possibility of change, right? Like they're willing to change for a short window. You see it with people. The window opens, and they're willing to consider changing, and then it closes. They just seal it back up. And they go back to whatever they were before. But these opportunities, and you have these people at these news networks, and they just push out this filth, and these this now all this stuff that they're pushing out there, the liberal stuff, the conservative stuff. I mean, Fox sucked for years because the right wing was always crazy and wrong and oblivious and controlled, and then MSNBC and CNN and the liberal media followed Fox and went like even more Fox than Fox. They went even more delusional in this woke stuff they're pushing. And they just to go out there and sell this stuff. And, at least on a soul level, they know. But, I mean, everything else. And they just, it's hard to watch them. Like, it's hard to watch these people just go out there and suck. Like, I make fun of it, and I, do whatever I do here. But I'm like, wow, this is so cringy. Like, it makes me feel like I don't like the people, and I cover it, I mock it, and it makes me feel like, wow, like this is just like so bad, how embarrassing and how humiliating it is for them to go out and just, spin this, this satanic, egotistical, BS construction as the system collapses around us, and they're missing out on the big story. But anyways, that's, they were talking about Tucker Carlson. And I was like, wow, this is embarrassing. Let's move on to the other stories here. All right, so there's two more things to get to here to do with Don Lemons and Tucker Carlson. The first thing I want to say is Tucker Carlson's firing had nothing to do with performance. He was their number one show, right? He was their show with the most energy in it. And it was appealing to a much wider demographic. There are people who've left Fox News, people who are, like right-wing truthers who are pissed about all the things that they did to Trump, all those things, turning on Trump and whatever it is. But they came back for Tucker, right? So, I mean, it was a level of, it was a population of viewers, an audience demographic that Fox News wants to win back. Whereas Don Lemons, his ratings sucked, and no one's upset that he's, I mean, so there's actually like kind of a big difference in that sense. But let's watch this here. I haven't seen it yet.
Right now, the media landscape is significantly different than it was just 2 hours ago, with two of the highest profile cable hosts out of a job. First, the news that Tucker Carlson, who was regularly drawing 3 million viewers a night, parted ways with Fox News.
Don Lemon, 200,000, and they're going to get the same without him. So,
And then just an hour later, Don Lemon tweeting he is out at CNN after 17 years with that network. I want to bring in NBC senior reporter Jane Tim. Joyce Vance is a former U.S. attorney.
Look at these ghouls, right?
Professor at the University of Alabama Law School and an MSNBC legal analyst. Eric Deggans is a TV critic for NPR. I'm glad to have all of you here.
This is what I'm talking about. Like these guys, they're just going to say things that are, not true and remedial. Like they're just, child level thinking.
Jane, first get us up to speed on Tucker Carlson specifically. What do we know?
So Tucker Carlson was, as you said, a ratings giant. His departure appears unexpected, at least last week. On Friday, he said, "See you Monday," gave a major keynote address at a heritage party this weekend. It does not appear that it was planned, and Tucker Carlson's not out with a statement. Now, we have no reporting that indicates it's tied to the massive Dominion settlement from
Massive Dominion settlement? Just like listen to him, right?
Last week that we've been reporting on so closely. But the timing is, of course, curious. And what?
Okay, so let's move to this other person here.
Fox News, perhaps the most effective way of combating it is to target the way the channel makes money off of these kinds of broadcasts. A big settlement figure, also a sense that there was another lawsuit waiting in the...
So they're definitely pushing for censorship, right?
Cases over, the pain of that settlement was already baked in. So why cause the company to lose value as it did after the announcement that Carlson would no longer be with them? And the Smartmatic lawsuit could be...
It's just like, how do they do it, right? How do they look themselves in the mirror and say, wow, this is what I am, right? Like, I mean, it's just like, it's so remedial. Like there's nothing here. There's nothing of interest. There's nothing in depth. There's no real insight. There's nothing to do with some of the controversial things in terms of the big pharma piece that, pushing back, getting slammed because the powers that be in big pharma are more important as a advertiser than Tucker Carlson is as a personality and an asset to the organization. I mean, all these things, not touching on any of it really, right? That's remedial, uninteresting people and information, and they wonder why no one's watching them. Okay, so a few more things to cover here about the Don Lemon, Tucker Carlson thing. This is from CNN. Don Lemon and CNN part ways.
Major shakeups today at three media giants. NBC's Universal CEO has stepped down. Tucker Carlson, a popular right-wing media host, is out at Fox News, and CNN anchor Don Lemon is out after 17 years.
So Don Lemon comes in third on CNN. Like even all right, so this is how they're going to do it. Watch.
CNN's Oliver Darcy joins us now. Oliver, let's start with Fox.
Let's start with Fox and Tucker Carlson because that's the most relevant story.
Why they decided to take Carlson off the network's highly rated show?
A shocking development over at Fox. Tucker Carlson was the highest rated single host over at that network. He's been hosting the 8 p.m. show for several years, and a sudden announcement today from Fox, I'll read you part of it.
It's shocking because he was successful.
His departure. It was very short. It just says, Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. And it goes on to say that Carlson's last program already aired. It aired on Friday, even though Carlson on Friday said that he looked forward to greeting viewers back on Monday. Now, of course, we should point out that Tucker Carlson was one of the most extreme hosts over on that channel.
He was extreme.
And he sowed a lot of distrust in the legitimacy of the 2020 election. And of course, this announcement is coming just days after Fox News settled that Dominion voting systems lawsuit for a staggering
Exactly. It was days after.
amount of money, the highest ever defamation settlement in the history of U.S. media that's known. And so it's hard to disconnect those two events, but the network and Carlson are not connecting them themselves. And I should also note that we've reached out to Carlson several times today, and he has not responded.
You didn't talk to CNN? This guy's got octagon-shaped glasses.
To comment requests.
Or whatever, six-sided.
Well, there was also a big development today at our own network, CNN, parting with...
So even on his own network, Don Lemon's story comes in second, right? He's going to get less time. So This is a 3-minute and 21-second segment. Don Lemon's coming in second, and he's got to share the remainder of the time with an ousted, disgraced executive at NBC Universal.
Ways with anchor Don Lemon.
Another stunning announcement. This comes earlier.
Stunning? Is it really stunning? What do you mean by stunning? You mean a guy who got horrible ratings, was really stupid, said stupid things all the time, was a complete failure, and everybody knew it, got demoted and moved to the morning show where he pissed off his co-anchors. There was multiple complaints, story after story about how everyone hated him, and the ratings sucked. So, like, it was a Hail Mary to put him in the morning show, which he sucked at, and he wasn't, he sucked even worse at the morning show. And it's not a surprise to anybody. This isn't shocking. They were looking for a way to get rid of this guy for about 2 years.
Earlier today, this came actually in an email to CNN staffers from CEO Chris Licht over at CNN. I'll read you what he said in his email. He said, CNN and Don have parted ways. Don will forever be a part of the CNN family, and we thank
that ain't happening.
him for his contributions over the past 17 years. And it goes on. But Don Lemon came out and he was more explicit. He said that the network had fired him, and then he really lashed out and said that he was hoping that someone in management would have had the decency to tell him directly.
Because he's a victim. Even though they carried this guy for years when he got no ratings and sucked.
About this firing, and CNN PR then put out a statement separately saying that what Don Lemon had said was not accurate, that Don Lemon did have the opportunity to meet with management. So there's a back and forth playing out.
Yeah, because CNN is just embarrassing, right?
Over there at CNN in public as well.
All right, let's talk about NBC Universal. Big news out of there, too.
Big news over at NBCU, where the head of that company has stepped down and made a sexual...
Oh, he doesn't look like a creep at all.
...harassment allegation. It's coming from CNBC.
Okay, so they're dropping like flies, right? This one says, Tucker Carlson's fall marks another step in the declining power of the right-wing figures. This is Rachel Maddow, apparently. Now, her boss of her network just got fired for sexual harassment, right? And Don Lemons, who is certainly a left-leaning liberal, got fired the same day. But Tucker Carlson's the one that they're talking about losing power, even though he was the best-rated person on these, of all these anchors and all these shows, not just in terms of Fox, but in terms of CNN and MSNBC. Tucker Carlson was the number one, news personality. So she goes through a variety of people, religious leaders, Rush Limbaugh. She goes through various people who are controversial right-wing figures and who got away with this for years, Bill O'Reilly. And then she says, well, Tucker Carlson is a sign that the right wing is losing power, which we already know what it has. But it don't equate losing power with you guys not sucking. It isn't based in the people. This is the people want more Rachel Maddow, right?
In his case. And now he does like YouTube videos, I think, from his home. Now there's this.
Which is, superior to what you guys do. This guy sucks, but YouTube videos from your home is a superior job than what you guys do, right? To go up there and embarrass yourselves and shill for a beastly system that's crumbling in front of us. Doing YouTube videos from your own home is preferable. That's what I do, right? And if I had the choice to do what I do now or do that, I would do what I do now. I would never do what they do. That's not an option. I would never get up there in a suit and tie and shill for the beast. I don't care how much money they offered me or, what it meant. I just wouldn't do it. It's not, it's not even a consideration, right?
This guy, their latest, biggest thing. And he's out today as well. He's been fired. I think it's easier when you look at them as a group to get to what matters about them for the country. Because what you get if you squint at this series of guys who
and you really like to squint, Rachel,
are dominant for their time. Well, what you realize over time is that as time has gone forward, if you look at this over a 90-year spread of time, you see that over time, whoever the dominant figure is in right-wing radio or right-wing media, the right-wing media industry, whatever it is, whoever is dominant for their time gets smaller and smaller and smaller over time.
Well, it's just crazy thinking. And they're still bigger than you, right? Tucker Carlson got 3 times as many viewers, more than 3 times. She doesn't get 1 million people per day. She gets about 300,000 views in the top demographic. Here was one from where she got 232,000 viewers for the people from 25 to 54. I don't know exactly how many she gets, but it's less than 500,000. Tucker Carlson got 3 million people a day. She loses to Hannity. She loses to Tucker Carlson. She loses to Laura Ingraham, and I don't like those. I'm not a fan of those shows. And they all lose to the internet, right? There's millions of people watching thousands upon thousands of YouTube channels globally that cover things like this. We get, tens, 20, 100 million views per day, right? Whatever it is. And these guys get nothing. They're dead. They're dinosaurs. Fox is a dinosaur, and CNN and MSNBC are dinosaurs caught in tar pits. They're dinosaurs that can see the meteor about to hit Earth, right? So for her to say that the declining power of the right wing, well, yeah, the powers that be are pushing the liberals and the woke agenda, but people aren't digging it. The majority of people aren't digging it, and they aren't digging you, right? And then there's this. Don Lemon's fiery exchange with GOP candidate Vivek Ramaswamy left CNN leaders exacerbated.
Actually, you want to know, funny fact is, black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Still aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned that we have 3 different shades of melanin.
Don, I think we have to be able to talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. The part that I find insulting is when you say today black Americans don't have those rights after we have gone through civil rights revolution in this country.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have a different point of view.
The skin he lives in his, $8 million house that he can't pay for anymore. The 2 homes he owns and, all the privileges he has as being on this crappy network of CNN.
Black and white that black people don't have in this country, and that black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate without me regarding you as a black man, but me regarding you as a fellow citizen. That's what I think we should see.
Whatever ethnicity.
Look at Poppy Harlow's like, oh man, this is not good. Like, watch Poppy Harlow. Let's mute it here. Let's watch Poppy Harlow throughout this thing here. They show her. Look at her. Look at her body language. She's like, oh man. Let's get back to Poppy here. This guy's going at it. Don Lemons, they're heated. See Poppy Harlow's like, oh, I just wish I could leave. Like, look, he's texting somebody. Somebody fire this MNF or we were. Oh, that's great. Then there's this. Hunter Biden ordered to appear in Arkansas court for paternity case. A judge has ruled that Hunter Biden must attend all court hearings related to an ongoing Arkansas paternity case from now on. I want both of your clients at every hearing I conduct, the judge said. I no longer allow us to excuse clients. So he's going to have to spend lots of time in Arkansas. There's his, Air Force One, his daughter, again, nothing against this little girl. She's, and even the stripper mom. I mean, she hit the jackpot just like Hunter's hit the jackpot with his dad. She hit the jackpot with Hunter. The stripper named Dallas from Arkansas got a crackhead son of a vice president and now the president to bang her and impregnate her. And now she's, she's doing the Hunter Biden. This is what Hunter Biden do, right? and there's some kind of paternity stuff going on here, and Hunter having to, deal with it. Biden-Harris officially announced 2024 re-election bid. Let's see what he says here. All right, let's go. I have it on MSNBC here.
Running for re-election. This just happened. He just announced his 2024 plans in a new video out right now, exactly 4 years to the day after he jumped into the 2020 race. Take a look.
Boom, here it goes. Look at Mika looking totally dudeish. It's like she can't hold it together anymore. Look at this music he's playing. Stealing Kanye's beat to Runaway, right? The song Runaway. Kanye uses that, doesn't.
Freedom.
Boom, freedom.
Personal freedom is fundamental to who we are as Americans. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred. That's been the
Boom, freedom. He's all about freedom. He's the freedom president.
Work of my first term, to fight for our democracy. This shouldn't be a red or blue issue.
This is them taking all of his good moments. Like, these are his good moments.
To protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it. But around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms.
MAGA extremists. Gotta look out for MAGA extremists.
Social Security that you paid for your entire life while cutting taxes for the very wealthy, dictating what health care decisions.
Wait, MAGA Republicans want to cut taxes for the wealthy? You think MAGA Republicans, the average MAGA Republican is wealthy and wants to cut taxes for the richest people? Come on. Like, this is like really bad.
Women can make. Banning books and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
There they are. There's Dougie Fresh. Look at Dougie Fresh. Dougie Fresh is the best. We don't get enough Dougie Fresh. Look at him mauling strangers.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America. And we still are.
We still are. We're still battling for the soul. It's still in play.
The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom. More rights.
America doesn't have a soul. JoJo.
Or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election. Because I know America. I know we're good and decent people.
We're good and decent people, except for those MAGA Republicans.
I know we're still a country that believes in honesty and respect and treating each other with dignity. That we're a nation where we give hate no safe harbor.
No safe harbor for hate.
We believe that everyone is equal.
Everyone's equal.
That everyone
except for those MAGA Republicans.
Should be given a fair shot to succeed in this country. Thank you for choosing us. Every generation of Americans has faced a moment when they have to defend democracy. Stand up for our personal freedom. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights.
Hero. You don't have hero without her.
And this is our moment.
It's our moment here. Look at him go. Look at you go. He's trying to send a message to one demographic here.
So if you're with me, go to joebiden.com and sign up.
Look at that laugh. That's great. That's the best part right here. That Joker smile with his Crypt Keeper mullet.
Let's finish this job. I know we can.
I know we can't finish the job.
Because this is the United States of America. There's nothing, simply nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
Let's finish the job of destroying America. Let's finish it up. Joe Biden. JoeBiden.com. And so that was their thing there. I wish I got their reaction. And I do, because I found another video, which I'll show you in a second. I'm in the editing process. But this idea, Joe Biden finished the job, it's a thing that you hear all the time associated with murder, right? It's like, you know, you destroyed somebody destroys somebody's life, and they go, "Oh, go finish the job," or they wounded somebody, and they're like, "You gotta go finish the job," right? That's what you associate with. Like he's, you know, we almost put the final nails in the coffin of America, but we're gonna need another 4 years, so let's finish the job. And so that's how he's running, finishing the job. That's his slogan. Isn't that what they say in Mortal Kombat? Like, finish him? You know, like when they do these like gross, you know, killing of their opponents in Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
Biden's re-election announcement. You know, I thought the announcement was pretty skillful in the sense that it gives you an introduction. It's just Joe Biden, again, another introduction. His
Look, they got a lot of Gumby dudes going on here.
Calmness, his deliberateness, his avoidance of calamity.
Oh, it was horrible. Come on, bro.
Pump the brakes on the riotous atmosphere that.
So that's what they're saying here on this woman.
And they're doing things in my state and many other states that are abhorrent to independent voters.
See, how do they just come out here? These are professional. She was a politician. The other guy was a journalist, you know, so-called journalist. And they just come out here and just suck. This is what I'm talking about. Just be remedial. Just say things that aren't, you know, in any way factual or any way, you know, based in reality. It's appealing to a childlike level of consciousness.
But also sort of a continuation of the message of the White House reading what happened in the midterm elections just a few months ago, which was a lot of people in this country saying, whoa.
Yeah.
A lot of you have gone too far, whether it's on guns and the school shooting.
Exactly. Let's finish the job.
18 months until the actual election. An agenda. Those are the things you need.
So on the same network, they had two people talking about how he has less than 50% of Democrats are saying they want him to run, 70% of Republicans, and that, you know, how impassioned people are about Trump and how, you know, 70% of Republicans want Trump to run and like 44% or something want JoJo Magooze to run. And they were, you know, they were trying to make excuses, but dealing with the reality that America's over him, right? And again, you know, when they're faced with a choice, whatever it might be, they might, you know, just out of their hatred or fear of Trump or whatever, and the division of this country and whatever they can manipulate, sure. But, like, nobody wants this guy, really. And they don't want to admit this guy's senile and he's, like, incapable of doing the job because they've already gone all in on him, and they don't have a replacement. They don't have somebody who is, you know, has a lot of enthusiasm behind them. And they just have this woke stuff that they're pushing and just, you know, make it sound like there's a lot of people that want that and they don't. And they, you know, they have nothing else, right? They have this, you know, this old decrepit, you know, he's always been sucky and now he's breaking down mentally and, you know, they're stuck with him. Just a few more things to get to, a little bit more on my other channel. I was going to cover a bunch more stuff, but covering on both things on both channels, like there's just too much information. You know, I was doing it every other day. And like I said, I'll get, you know, after I'm done with this, I'll go create a new channel and that'll be my, you know, third backup channel for people. And it will, anyways. And so, you know, there's a comment here that somebody wrote. I want to, you know, this thing right here. Here it is. The person says, Tucker Carlson is not a truther. He is weaponizing the truth movement. He is a trust fund heiress who was born into the club. His dad ran the Boopy Swanson TV dinner for old people. Never trust a man in a bow tie. You know, I said this before myself. And, this was, he's saying he was weaponizing the truth community, but, this is something Alex Jones did. And Alex Jones was much more damaging to the truth community than Tucker Carlson. I don't think Tucker Carlson was necessarily damaging because it's already done, right? They are saying, like I said earlier in this video, that one of the worst things you can do is not agree with the official story. I mean, they make it, one of the big no-nos, like one of the big taboo things to do. That you're a real horrible person to disagree with the official story. That's their narrative. The media's pushing it because they can't compete with, something that's more honest. And so they're pushing it, politicians and businesses and everybody's pushing it. And it's their own paranoia and their lack of being able to see what's going on that makes them push it, because they're not at risk. I mean, the system's going to collapse long before anybody would get motivated by the so-called truthers. And most people have made their decision. And I don't know what the numbers are, but it's probably around 50% are, somewhat, they're somewhat truthers, or at least, they don't believe the official story. 50% of the people are totally against it, right? Are sheeple, or whatever you want to, I mean, there's all these different, what do you call a truther? You really can't call QBs and right-wing Trumpers truthers. People who are voting for the Republicans, they really can't be considered truthers. Tucker Carlson, those people that watch that. They're right-wing people that are fringe, and, oftentimes they're like somewhat crazy or stupid or whatever they are. And they're easily puppeted and maneuvered to they're extremists who are, against the official story, but not because they're, honest with themselves. They're never going to be able to hear. And I get comments from these people. I see them all the time. They send me stuff. They're never going to be able to hear that Trump is a part of it, or that Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats, or whatever it might be, right? And so, like this whole the idea of purity in the truth community is, that's from a way back when we didn't know what this movement was going to lead to, and how passive the people are. People are passive, and until their basic lifestyle is removed, what we enjoy as our lifestyle, people are just going to sit on their hands, and then they're just going to go ape boop. They're going to riot and pitch tantrums and run around and, hey, we lost our stuff, whatever, like just stupid stuff. And that's what's going to happen, right? Up until, some big changes happen, people are not capable of any sort of organized movement to change things. They're completely pacified by TV, the internet, their fat bellies and their, processed foods and all this stuff. And, people aren't, they're just not that, they don't get that angry, right? They get angry on the internet. They like to argue. They like to, have enemies, and they want to blame somebody, and they want to be a part of a group that thinks they're right, blaming another group that they say is the problem. And that's about it. Like, there's no, human beings suck. And to say that the people that control the system are so much worse than, the rest of us is, that's not accurate either. Like, we're all part of it. Like, we're all hurting other people and the earth and animal life and, the divine, system or whatever. We're all doing, going in the wrong direction. We're all supporting things that are bad in the beastly system. We all support the beast. We're all a part of the beast, right? And so there's no, like, this idea of, oh, this guy's not a truther, that guy, whatever. Like, nobody's really being honest with themselves. Like, people just lying to themselves and rationalizing their behavior and always, grading on a curve and saying, well, at least I'm not as bad as that guy or that group. That's just, that's, Americans suck. That's, and globally people suck. And Americans are probably, we're maybe the worst. I don't know. It's hard to say. Who cares? So Tucker Carlson has evolved. Was he ever like a truther? Well, I don't, whatever you want to call it. He evolved a little bit. Like, I didn't watch him, not a fan, but, people send me some of his stuff, and, I guess he had a team of people, and so he had access to more of a, he could put out a better quality show because he had, more money and more people behind him. And so, he might find things that the rest of us might have trouble finding and whatever. It had to fit in the narrative that the left wing was so much worse than the right wing. It had to fit in with the Fox agenda. And, I think he evolved. I think he was, better than he was 10 years ago when he was, like I said, whining about he was mocking people for believing that there was an inside job in 2001, September 2001, big event, right? Like when that happened, he, I showed you that clip and how he, mocked the person asking him the question. But who cares at this point? Like, I don't care that he's gone. But what we can say is that he got more viewers than anybody else in the media because he was willing to expand his bandwidth to sort of cover truth or narratives. We know that people are much more, energized and interested in truth or narratives, right? We can, Tucker Carlson's a prime example. Glenn Beck, who sucked, but he, he touched upon some of these things. People are, you'll get a bigger audience and a more lively audience, and in some cases a better audience if you cover truth or narratives. Whereas people who just want to hear the, the mainstream story pounded into their tiny little brains over and over again, it just doesn't, they're basically dead inside. There's like a little spark of life in everybody who's willing to confront, at least to a certain extent, the fact that the people that run the system are lying to us. And, that is whatever it is. In terms of my YouTube channel, I'm getting comments from people saying, what happened to it, my other YouTube channel. And just, just to finish up with that, I had to privatize everything, like I said, because of, I can't get another strike there. And then I'll have to figure out in a couple of weeks what to do after that. My one strike will disappear pretty soon, my first strike, and then I'll figure out how I have to cover things and, in terms of the, the big pharma stuff and, the what and all that. When I'm doing Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies, and I don't have to deal with it now. But one of the things that you don't know is when I privatized all my videos, there were all these short videos that I made my short videos from. They weren't short videos. They didn't have the S on them. They were videos that I put up so I could make a short video, and then I privatized the original video and I just have the short. But when I unprivatize all those videos, then I have to go through them and, do it there's probably about 50 short videos that I have to go privatize again. Because I already did that when I got that one strike and they repealed it, right? And so, so that sucks. And the other thing is, when I privatized the videos, all my real short videos lost everything that was in the description box because I have to put that in. It's automated, so it goes in automatically. When I make a video, all the stuff goes in. Before I don't have to, post something in the description box. I can add stuff if I want, but there's a default setting. And so on both of my channels, when I upload a video, I don't have to, cut and paste all that stuff into another, from one video into another. And so that's kind of a great thing. These are just little things that you have to do. And, that's one of the, you have to learn all these things. That's why going to a new platform sucks, right? Because they're just little things that make my job easier. And, I'm all about making my job easier. And so the short videos, it doesn't do that. It doesn't do the default setting. So I have to cut and paste from another video all the description box. It only takes a minute or two, and I have 4 or 5 short videos, and I just do that. But now that I've privatized these, all my short videos will lose their description, so I have to go back and cut and paste and put it back in. I mean, in some of those videos, I have to now go through them and figure out what videos I didn't talk about the what. I mean, it just sucks. It's, they definitely hurt my channel because all that content was getting some views. All that content was getting some momentum, and now it's all privatized. And so, I'm basically starting from scratch on that channel. And so that sucks. And then I just want to clarify stuff about my eyesight. So I went to get, an eye exam because you need an eye exam every year your prescription goes bad after a year for glasses. And so I tested, my short sightedness, the long vision, things that are far away, tested a little bit worse than it had been, but my short vision reading is fine. It's, I can read the lowest line with, in terms of being farsighted. And so when I'm on the computer, I don't, my computer's far enough away that it's not, when I'm on my phone, for example, I take off my glasses. But on my computer, the computer's too far away. If I take off my glasses, it's blurry. But with my glasses, it was fine, right? And so that's medium. And I'm not getting trifocals. I don't want any of that stuff, right? I mean, I don't want 2 pairs of glasses. When I have to get them, I have to get them. But right now, I can read fine, and I can be on my computer with my glasses for my old prescription. I got my new prescription, which helped me see clearer long distance, but it was only slightly better. Like, I was seeing fine before. I was happy with my old prescription, but, the guy updated it. But now I had trouble seeing my computer. I have a laptop that's like 2.5, 3 feet away. And my eyes have adjusted. It's getting better, but it was really draining me for the first couple of days. And I was going to go back and have them give me my old prescription back instead of the new one. And I'm worried about my eyes getting worse, my short-term, my up-close vision getting worse, because one clown said that that's what would happen. But I don't want trifocals, that stuff. I'll just get headaches, and I'm just really not into it. And it's enough of a thing where, I'm not saying I'm going to stop making videos, but it's significant enough where, my eyes and my vision, these things, I have the rest of my life to go. And, if I'm getting headaches all day and it's just draining my energy, then I'm going to have to change the way I make videos, do them shorter, and, reading comments. I mean, there's just things I won't be able to do. Right now, it's getting better every day. And so I'm going to hold off on getting my old prescription back. But, it's just like with everything else that's going on. And like I've been talking in my gratefulness videos, gratefulness meditation, whenever there's a spiritual gathering, you go through cleaning ahead of time. And my wife and I have been both really tired. Like, I just took a nap a little while ago. I've been really tired, even before I switched the glasses. I had a lot of energy. Like a week ago, I was doing a lot of work outside and going on the farm, and we've been doing a lot of stuff. And then we both just have gotten tired. We've talked about it. It got cold again too, so I'm not sure, what's up. If it's, weather related, I don't feel sick or anything. But also this cleaning that's going on before the gathering. And that, that has to do with all this stuff with the YouTube channels. So I'm just trying to get through until this weekend with the gathering, and then reassess everything next week. Stuff to do with my, my other channel, and stuff to do with my eyes and all this stuff. Like, I'm just, I'm seeing how it all plays out. And right now it's a lot of stuff going on and there's other things going on, little, family dramas and stuff, extended family or things like that, that we've had going on the last, month or so. And I've felt frustrated at times, and, some anger has come up just randomly. But that's all part of a pre-gathering type situation. I've talked about this for people who are doing the gratefulness meditation. Some of them are talking about going through similar things. But anyways, that's enough for today. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.